Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of World of Unknown. This is my buddy Trevor.
And this is Danny.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, welcome back. And today's episode, so out there we've had a few people mention like, hey, when are you guys going to start doing some alien stuff and UFO stuff again? And oh, you want to talk about some alien stuff? We got a doozy for you.
You found a good one.
Oh yeah. It's a very good one here. Let's dive right into it. We're going to call it the Dulce base conspiracy. So let's jump into this whole thing, man. This episode, studying for it, like you said, had a lot, and it's a lot of stuff that we're trying to put in together because there's so many pieces, and you'll find out some of the stuff it kind of connects to everything else. It's funny how this stuff, the more we get into all these other subjects and topics and stuff, they connect. Sometimes to the back way, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. It's just funny how it all.
Yeah, certain people like to show up, and but I mean, the UFO community is, it's not the biggest. So, especially back then,
right?
So it's certain people keep popping up and here and there and linking different things.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of interesting.
So let's go ahead and just dive into it. So before we start anywhere first, let's start talking about secret underground bases.
Like Area 51?
Like Area 51, everyone loves. So it's supposedly, looking in, when we started studying this, there's a lot of secret underground bases that they build for whatever reasons, for military, for
like presidential bunkers,
presidential stuff, for elite stuff. It's all that's a conspiracy on its own. But supposedly there's a bunch of these things, and all over the world there's like over thousands, right?
Yeah, I think
not just the United States. Everybody has them. They're preparing for the worst.
Apparently the United States has over 1,000 underground bunkers alone throughout the world.
Right,
that's in every country and all that we own. Period. Who knows?
Regardless for storage, for nuclear, evacuation, for nuclear. They're getting ready. Whatever happens with something. But then you start talking about secret military bases that are being nefarious about alien stuff. So back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, we were talking about. There's been presidents, regardless from Roosevelt to Truman to Eisenhower, that supposedly have contacted and have signed treaties with these aliens, and their treaties basically say like.
Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah, you let us look and reverse engineer your equipment, your tech, and your weapons. We'll allow you to come in and do experiments on anything on Earth, animals, plants, humans.
Yeah, they're doing.
I don't know the parameters and stuff it is, but this they look. It's a give and take thing, because you can't pay an alien. An alien's going to be like, yeah, I want $50 for that. I'm like, no, you got to. That's right.
I mean, but we kind of know after reading up on this, we kind of know what the experiments are about.
Yeah, basically. So that's where these whole things came up. So. We're going to have these stuff like Area 51 we talked about. You talk about Area 51 with aliens and contact and being there with humans and stuff. They have one up here in northern New Mexico, near the town of Dulce, kind of on the border on Archer Mesa, kind of close to Colorado. In the Jacarilla Apache Reservation is supposedly where this base is, Dulce Base. Now, the anagram of this, they call these bases, are dumb.
Yeah, you were enjoying that one.
Is deep underground military bases. It's dumb, basically. And the more you hear the story, the more you're thinking like that's probably correct.
Now, yeah. Now in this location in Dulce, Dulce is like one of the number one hotspots for UFO sightings.
The area, exactly, which is, strangely enough, not too far from where? Roswell.
And all these things started popping up right after Roswell happened.
Exactly.
Also.
And so let's go over the town. Dulce is a small town. It's a small town. It is located in like we talked about the reservation, right? This Archuleta Mesa was, like you said, is an area. That whole area has been with weird, UFO stuff and weird cryptid kind of things going out of there. They think the Archuleta Mesa was kind of a natural place to put a underground base. So a lot of these bases, when they go through, you got to remember there's all these caverns underneath
cave systems.
And a lot of times they put these bases, they start there because you already have a natural starting point.
Yeah, you just reinforce it, and then you just start digging in deeper.
Right, exactly. And you go there, and people are like, well, and let's put a topper on that. Supposedly all these bases are connected together.
Yeah, they said it was under like a maglev train that can do Mach 2 underground.
Right. And how they could do that? Well, we did sign that treaty with the technology stuff. So there's Mach 2. Could you imagine going on a train to Mach 2? Supposedly all these bases are connected together. And how they use that is they got a technology from the aliens. Supposedly they have like a weird drilling kind of boring equipment that basically melts the rock. So something that might take us hundreds of years to do can do like that.
Yeah, I think
it just like melts right through it. Basically, that's how they can make all these tunnels.
After we did the treaty, we jumped 50 years in advanced technology. Or something like that.
It is weird on how suddenly we started advancing like really quickly within the past 100 years.
Yeah.
And you talk about if you see people years before that, 100 years before that, we barely moved, and then in the past 100 years, we were just
wagons were just around for a while.
Right.
Horse travel.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Henry Ford.
Yeah. So,
and then we went from there.
Right. So with this beginning of this base and the Dulce, and it is Dulce. I've looked in. Some people say Dulce.
Yeah, it's Dulce.
It's a soft C.
It's not Dulce.
It's not like
Dolce
the Spanish
Gabbana.
one. And looking at many, we saw that. If it's different, we're sorry, but we're going to just say Dulce.
Yeah,
the Dulce
everything
base.
I've heard was Dulce.
Dulce. Again, it's not like Area 51 where we know it's there. It's just a supported secret base thing.
It's one of those ones that no one really knows about. There's no evidence that it exists. There's no evidence it doesn't exist.
Right.
It's the locals know about it, but
right, exactly. So when we found out, we made this Archuleta Mesa, and we made this base because we found there were caverns. So they made this base with the aliens. It's a joint alien-human project. That these aliens, they built this base, and supposedly with seven layers. Seven levels. Even some theories say it can go down to 30, but we know of 7 levels that are supposedly were confirmed, if you want to say confirmed.
That are named.
So before we get into it, let's see. So these natural caves are ones that we that help make foundation of that. We got the advanced, just going over what we said, we got the advanced technology that bores through these tunnels, and we can do it easy. So otherwise we would never be able to do all this.
It's not cutting rock, it's melting it.
Right.
Think of Predator.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Right. So when we go through this base and we talk about the 7 levels, and obviously this is all secret stuff, and supposedly from outside, nobody's ever able to find it. They don't know where the entrance is. They don't know where they just...
some people say they've seen it flying over.
And they said that Archuleta Mesa, like you said, because there's so much activity there.
Yeah.
Whether it be UFOs, whether it be other people that come in, which we're going to talk about, say this is where it's got to be, because this is the only place
that where everyone's going.
The house this is the natural... Even like I've heard like the Continental Divide, not area is just a perfect area for aliens. Why are aliens always in this area, in the Southwest area? Because it's just the makeup and the resources in this area is what they need and how they. That's from what I understand. Exactly. This is all.
I don't know.
Truth
I don't know what you need.
Documents or info.
Yeah, I mean,
just
we
like
could have
doing this.
Yeah, we could have an alien on it. He'd tell us what he needs, but.
Right. Exactly. Well, just imagine everything we see on there. I'm doing this with everything. Okay. So this is the truth. So let's go over this Dulce base, the floors on it, because this gets very interesting when you start delving into the floors. So now we get rid of all the construction and where it's at, it's supposedly supposed to be at. We're going to start diving in. Every time just a little bit deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, and we start getting a little crazy.
Until you get down the rabbit hole.
Right. Right now we're kind of diving in. Yeah. So let's start going on the levels. So supposedly 7 levels purportedly that they have. The first level they call is security, surface control, and garages, basically, where they hold all their
the equipment and
everything that kind of I would imagine goes up top and everything.
Yeah.
They have access points, everything's super secure.
And then the level 2,
right,
is human level.
Human level.
Housing.
So all the housing. So anybody that works there, the basic human staff for the mess halls, and it's all human things. They have all the basic amenities. They have shops. Like. I guess it would be like a regular military. It's supposed to be huge. It's just like so many like a military base down above ground. They have all these little areas like a mess hall, whatever you call the little stores and stuff. They would basically they can leave. So they don't want these people going out and about all the time. So they want to have everything there for them to do. So I'm pretty sure there's entertainment stuff, like they probably watch movies and whatever it is, just to keep.
Maybe.
Or maybe. You would imagine.
Maybe mind control, and they don't even know they're there.
The alien tech, they probably in movies or something, Like, I want to be in Fast and Furious. Like, whatever. It's like,
Independence Day.
Right. Aliens are like, no, not in our house. Okay. Anyways, so we'll go down to level 3 now. And this is the government office and laboratories. Okay. These offices for all the military and government, which makes sense. You're going to have area where they're going to be living and eating and just social life. And underneath is where the actual kind of offices
work starts going.
Right, exactly. All the red tape stuff goes on. And laboratories, okay, where the initial research and experiments might conclude possible, maybe involving human biology and genetics. So they're kind of They might be doing some cutting edge stuff. Well, I'm sure they are with alien help, but they might be doing some above, alien, like an alien, human genetic stuff. Maybe.
Well,
I would probably think for weapons or something, but like.
I mean, one of the theories that came out was, which I don't know if I should say it now, but it was like one of the big killers of humans was because of aliens and genetic, because they didn't want us around anymore.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what
it AIDS.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's
genetically engineered AIDS.
Part of this whole makeup of this human and alien thing was that they didn't get along happily.
No, it's like
a very tenuous,
like a pissed off,
right.
like a very abusive stepfather.
So yeah, so we'll get into the hierarchy and how it works out. Let's finish up the levels and we'll jump into
level 4: animal and human cryogenics and cloning. So,
yes,
I mean,
starts getting
now
you're
getting into
really evil, crazy, mad scientist
and
type of
stuff.
stuff.
Just so you guys know, cloning is illegal everywhere on Earth,
yes.
technically.
And so this base supposedly was up and going by the 70s, if I remember right.
Yeah, 70s.
Okay, so they were already doing this. They were way ahead of their time doing this. I think as it is military and tech stuff, they're always way ahead of our time before we even hear about it.
Generations.
I mean, exactly.
Especially military. I think
so they've been doing this stuff for a while, supposedly, and it wasn't just human and animal clones. They were doing all sorts of weird experiments with this stuff. What are they doing with these clones? Where are these clones at? So we'll go down to level 5 now, is the alien housing in laboratories. So this is where the aliens are going to be living in.
And now there's up to, it varies between 5 to 10 different alien species that are in this base working together.
Right.
And most of them are hostile to humans.
Right.
I think at least 3 want the eradication of the human species.
Yep.
So I don't know why we're playing this Russian roulette game.
I mean, we're so hard up for the tech and for the weaponry that we can get them out of them.
Do we think we're going to outsmart them?
I just think
they're very blatant.
Right.
They know
what they want. Right.
They want to just wipe us out.
I think they think that I'm right. They want to wipe us out, and I'm not sure what's in these contracts, but it was enough where they're getting enough out of our contracts with them that they can stay their hand and be like, okay, well, we're getting resources without the pushback or whatever.
Or the fight.
Yeah. And they're doing this, so I'm pretty sure they fight. Not that they're way above us in intelligence, but we're pretty brutal. We can put up a good fight.
We can. I mean, we got nuclear weapons,
right? So, anyways, whatever they get out of it, they're helping. But
clearly, I mean, if we've ever had skirmishes with alien race, we put up a decent fight
right,
to where they don't even want to
lose, but they're going to remember us.
Yeah. So it's not worth it.
They want to separate aliens and humans. Supposedly, they never. The only time they ever kind of come together is during the working time, and they need to have a mediator. They're not supposed to talk to each other. They're supposed to have somebody on both sides be the mediator.
How do you communicate, though?
I have no idea. I don't know.
How are you going to communicate with a reptilian?
So supposedly with these alien housing stuff, no humans are allowed down there because that's alien only. That's their time, their whatever they sleep or
their
whatever
leisurely time. I wonder if they're all together. Like you have reptilians and the Greys,
right?
And
So this area in level 5, where the alien housing is also laboratories, is potential areas where humans are bought for alien experimentation. Sorry.
There's a. Well, we'll get into the more heinous part of this.
This floor is often described as having advanced technology and unique environmental controls suitable for alien inhabitants. So they keep it at a certain area,
like a temp or CO2
whatever these.
level.
Remember, there's all sorts of different type of aliens and stuff. So I'm sure maybe every alien has to have the climate a certain way or whatever. You
think it's like every room's different?
Like
their bedrooms is different.
Right.
You have one that has like a jungle and the other one has a desert.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what it is.
Just
exactly.
in space.
Right. The other one's just like
Fred
poop.
Yeah. He's like, Fred did it again.
Right, exactly.
Now, level 6 is interesting because it's private security and the Nightmare Hall.
Well, that's right. They nickname it the Nightmare Hall.
I don't know what the fuck.
Right. So it's heavily guarded, and it's private security forces. By private security forces, possibly from military personnel, but a lot of these military that are in this base too that secure. There's not any signet on them. It's always where they have
they're definitely black, like a
black, not black ops, but it's a
no.
It's technically a black ops, but it's just like a.
They don't exist.
Right. They don't want to put incentive to know that they, that they exist.
They're the branch of the government that doesn't exist.
This is where a vast laboratory where horrific genetic experiments are conducted on humans.
Now, this is interesting because they like making hybrids.
hybrid creatures and beings, hybrids with animals.
Yep. With their own race.
With other aliens. So
Yeah.
there's supposedly down there, there's human hybrid with aliens and stuff down there.
Well, they're the workers.
Right.
Like,
The
so
workers
yeah,
and-
like from what it was, like the reptilians are the ones
Yeah.
that run it. The Draconin, right?
Right.
And then they made subspecies with humans.
Yeah.
And that's their worker bees.
And now we're talking about, from our stand, these human hybrids are the ones that are able to communicate with both sides. So they use the hybrids because and I guess it makes sense. So if you got a human hybrid of a gray and a human hybrid and a human, they can go on both sides where the aliens and humans can tolerate them because they're half this and half that. And they're the ones.
So do you think they have a hybrid reptilian and a hybrid gray?
Yeah.
Just so they can talk?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it didn't say anything, but why wouldn't they experiment on their own?
Right.
I mean, I know for us, they're experimenting on us. They don't care about us. But it'd be interesting to see if they. I guess they do it now too.
I don't know. I think they do care about us because one of the things was they kind of decimated their population and they're here now because they're trying to repopulate Earth with their genetics and survive.
And each one of those alien races need us for something.
Something very specific.
So one of the races, and I don't know which one, lives off our secretions, which is disgusting.
Well, it's really not because we get high off adrenaline. We use human adrenaline to get high.
Right.
And they're technically doing the exact same thing.
But they need sustenance. That's sustenance. That's not to get high. That's
which
just,
goes in. Yeah, but that's food.
I
I'd
know.
rather them do that than eat us whole.
Oh, I get that. No, I know. It's just like, achoo. It's like, hey, are you going to eat that, buddy?
Yeah, come here.
Sweating like, hey, don't waste that sweat. Get over here, buddy. I need a drink. Ugh,
but that's where like the cloning gets into, where like
exactly, the cloning. So, and this is just level 6, but level 6 is where it really goes like any kind of security military personnel that have gone down there and seen that is just really
I think that's where they keep the humans too, right? Like the gestation humans.
I think so. Let's go down to level 7, telepathic control and the soul repository.
What the fuck is the soul repository?
Well, it claims that advanced technology used for telepathic communications, a disturbing concept of soul repository where human and alien essences are stored or manipulated. This is more and more bizarre and unsettling claims.
Oh no, that's like when you see, like a guy, your next door neighbor, and then all of a sudden he turns into someone completely different, and you're like, dude, I swear his eyes were shining at me, or his eyes blinked left. Or,
yeah, right.
Like, so they take what we call a soul, they house it, they put something else in. I don't know if it's like a gray or
it's kind of like
your evil doppelganger kind of thing.
Almost like Insidious, where your soul when your soul leaves, your body's an empty shell, and something else
can take it,
and they're able to move it in there. I mean, again, this is all
I don't know.
Documented.
Very true.
This is also level 7. I'd read it. We don't have it on here. It's also where they keep like all the bodies and stuff. So they don't just toss these bodies out.
No, because they eat that shit.
Yeah, they eat it because some of those aliens will eat the humans. So let's go. Supposedly, again, now these are the first seven levels, and they say supposedly there's theories of even deeper levels.
So, like, for this, what we just described, what we're describing is alien sex trafficking and alien, like, you ever been to like a animal market in like China or Philippines
I go all the time.
Or Mexico or something like that?
It's my weekend.
That's technically what this is.
Yeah.
Like, they go down there, they go shopping for humans.
Yeah.
They fuck with them, they experiment on them, they eat them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going anywhere near New Mexico.
Where there's sure not, you don't want to take that chance. I don't blame you.
Exactly. I'm not going because I remember I was watching one of the things and the guy goes, "Yeah, if you're in New Mexico and you see a flying saucer," he goes, "Run the other way."
Yeah, run the other way.
It's not good.
It's not good. You don't want to meet them.
And I was listening to a lot of the experiments that they run on these people.
Right.
And it's a lot of
yes.
Like, what was it? The Greys gangbang people, and it's a lot of sexual assaults and
it's weird. They were really interesting animals.
There was a lot of things going on.
Humanoids to them, so that's where they're, again, a lot of them, they want to use our resources. We are one of the resources. You know? So everyone, those aliens need us for something. That's why this contract was signed. They're like, well, we can use this. We can experiment.
Or we
can
can
do.
just
We're
kill
helping
you
our
all.
race. That's why they're trying to cross them with humans. Maybe the humans are a little harder for their whatever. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's just this sounds real fucked up. But I guess if we look at like Area 51 and what we did to them,
Right.
we're no better.
So supposedly there are deeper levels. Some of the levels could be like advanced technology research for highly advanced alien technology. Interdimensional portals could be there's
Alien
supposedly-
command center.
Yeah, portal level. Alien command center, and then just geothermal energy taps, utilizing the Earth's core for power. So that's what these other levels. But we've only had the 7 levels of what, and it could have gone deeper. You never
Now
know.
the weird thing was I heard that Dulce base is one that has a presidential like a peacock bunker.
Yeah, I mean,
The peacock.
peacock.
The
bunker?
the nuclear bunker where they go in and they like everyone think.
It was Clinton. It would be a cock bunker. Sorry.
But yeah,
Hey,
it's
hey
just,
Monica, come over to my cock bunker. Sorry. Okay.
Monday
we're back
night
at
at 3.
3. All right.
Hillary won't be there.
Yeah, I did not take her to my cock bunker. Hillary won't be there.
All right, let's see.
Hey, we got to entertain ourselves too, people. Come on, this is just
We
weird.
do.
So let's go into a little bit more of the inhabitants and the hierarchy. I thought that was interesting in here. So obviously you have human.
Yeah, the
aliens.
alien species. I didn't think these would be the top beast.
Yeah, exactly.
I really didn't.
So the human stuff, they're in there basically are military and governmental personnel, the people that are hired for secrecy, whatever it is. Scientists and researchers, anybody smart in the genetic area is something that would put them in there. Obviously, you need security people, which I think would be military and it says sometimes private contractors that might be in there to help, keep security within the base.
Yeah, I
and
guess.
and you got abductees. It says allegedly. Theories claim that these abductees, like he's talking about, they take these people and I don't know how else you would get volunteers to come down and do this.
Well,
get abductees,
What did they say the Dulce base was? It was a mental. They were trying to cure mental illness. So what they did, like when one of the guys did a job interview, he was saying that that's what they said. They try to push people to break. And then see if they can fix it. It's just a real fucked up place to be. And he was like, "Well, like now it's already a fucked up place,
right?
But then when you really find out what it is, it's even more fucked up."
Well, and if you talk about abductees, I mean, it kind of ties in a little bit to our missing 411 or missing people in national parks.
Yeah. People go missing, you never see them again.
Where are we going to get people at? Well, why don't you go to
might,
parks where there's a bunch of people and just take them? Fuck it, they get lost. We don't care. I mean, we don't know. So everything always connects somewhat, sometimes directly or indirectly. Like, I thought about that when like abductees. I'm like missing people. Like,
I mean, sometimes they say it's a volunteer, and
right?
then it's really not. When you ask the
Involunteers,
volunteer.
basically, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's go in the alien inhabitants they have in there. Some of the main ones. So a lot of the ones are the Greys. They're from Zeta Reticuli. So it's the planet they're from. Okay. So they're the most seen alien group in the base. So they're heavily involved in all the labs, especially biological exploitation, genetic manipulation. They're described more as the subservient race to the more powerful races like the Dracos or the reptilians.
Yeah, which I didn't think. I didn't see that coming.
So these are the ones that do the bulk of it's like they're just the workforce of them,
With the Greys?
The Greys, yeah. I was hearing something that their eating stuff it's almost like they're eating garbage when they wouldn't want to eat.
Well,
obviously, they don't eat around each other. They just stinks to high hell.
I heard they stink.
I mean, they stink, and I heard what they eat is just like swamp garbage crap. And it's like it looks like a pineapple mush.
So you think it's what is it meth? What is
methane or
methane?
Maybe I don't know. It was just interesting. I saw that. I thought it was interesting. Like, anyways, but supposedly all these aliens stink. But supposedly the Greys are the ones really
trash.
Really
another
bad.
man's treasure.
Exactly.
Right?
And then we talk about the reptilians here. They're the more powerful race. So the interesting about the reptilians, we're talking about it. So, and we'll do a whole episode on reptilians alone because that's a whole thing on its own. But just briefly touch on it. Reptilians are a race of lizard people. So basically, we're from mammals, whereas we from Earth. And
they're from dinosaurs.
They're from dinosaurs, basically. So their whole brief history is that they evolved since dinosaurs were here way before humans. They evolved and made a highly intelligent species before we got here, and where half of them took off space, other half stayed here, but stayed underground. So, anyways, they do have a Draco. They have a level in reptilians with the Dracos. The ones that have wings. They're the more powerful ones.
That's the main one.
And then they have the regular reptilians, which are kind of the worker force, kind of,
Well, that's their sub race.
They're kind of the sub race.
Yeah,
right.
They're the worker bees.
Again, we'll go over those. We're going to do an episode.
Well, my thing is, how badass are the Dracos? Like, if they're putting everyone out, like insectoids too.
They're basically like, they kind of like, sounds like dragons, right?
Because there's like the mantis ones.
Yeah, it's
insectoids, right?
Right. So, so these reptilians. Let me go back over here. Yeah. So they're often portrayed as being the higher position of authority.
Yeah,
than the
they're
Greys.
in charge.
They have more direct role in long-term planning control. Some theories differentiate between different types of reptilians. So yeah, those are the ones that are kind of in control. We do have, we had contact with all of them, but I think
they're the ones that run the base.
Basically, yeah, that's what it felt like. Especially the Dracos,
they're in
the
charge.
higher ones. They're basically ultimately in charge.
You answer to that.
So some of the other ones are like tall whites, another alien race, sometimes described as having more supervisory role in specific technology. Yeah, well, these are the ones that look like the Nords, right? Like a tall Nordic group. They're called the tall whites. That's right. Other than the short Hispanics.
Why aren't they in there?
Right, exactly. Yeah, they're called the tall white. I guess they're all white. I don't remember if they look human, but I think these are the ones that kind of...
They resemble like a Nordic person.
Not exactly, but they kind of... And they're a very beautiful race, supposedly, the tall whites, if it's the one I'm thinking of. There's so many different races. I know, exactly. And the really scary one here is the insectoids.
That's just the one that looks like a praying mantis, right?
Yeah. They're less frequently mentioned, but they sometimes include other species, so there's different types, but a lot of them it looks like a...
I would like to see
praying mantis.
Reptilians and insectoids fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Have you ever seen a praying mantis fuck up a lizard?
Right. Yeah.
That's no joke, man.
So you want to see that in real life? Yeah.
Hell yeah! Let's throw it.
That would be pretty cool, like an MMA thing, like UFC.
Well, I mean, look, we're there. Yeah.
UFC, buddy. You're gonna have a praying mantis against a reptilian.
We're there experiments. I want to watch UFC.
I want to talk about a pay-per-view.
Aliens.
I will actually pay for that. I'll pay for UFC crap, and not that it's crap. I mean, I'm not into it, but I would definitely pay to see a mantis fight a reptilian or a Draco. That would be awesome.
That'd be dope. Straight up, no weapons.
That's right.
Yeah, no weapons, just straight up.
See the reptilian. I'm gonna tell you, brother. I'm gonna get your head and smash it. Yeah. Anyways, and other unspecified races. So, but the mainly ones we heard a lot about were basically the reptilians and the Greys.
The main ones. Yeah.
The other ones are kind of in there, but there are different
like
ones
us.
in there. No, exactly.
They don't like us.
So again, as we talk about the hierarchy, the reptilians are awfully at the top. The tall whites are kind of supervisory, advisory role, and then you have the Greys, which are the workers basically, and then the other races are just kind of lessly defined, so the other races, I don't know what they would be. They doesn't really have a really
they haven't really told us.
Right.
I mean, up to 10 races, so
right.
I mean, there's something.
Then you have your military, the humans, the military and government officials, which are they're in charge of human stuff basically, and and intermingling with the other kind of stuff. So again, I heard that the human alien hybrids are the ones that are usually the mediators because they can, I guess, maybe communicate with both,
or maybe telepathically they can understand it.
Exactly. So that's how it kind of breaks down in those areas.
Okay.
And then you have your unfortunate, abductees, or whether it be human or alien stuff that goes on. So the activities and experiments that go down there basically are, we talked about creating the human animal hybrids, manipulating human and alien DNA.
They're cloning humans for food source.
Yep.
They're ingestating. They really like white women. So if you're a white woman, you're in trouble.
I'm not going to say nothing.
That's what they said.
I know.
They like Caucasian women.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, they said like in the 70s, the Caucasian women, the adoptions went up.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
They were down getting pregnant by these things with. I think they were trying to create. I think they said they created 3 successful hybrids. That could
really?
from the different races.
Okay. Oh, that
by doing
sustainable.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could sustain on Earth. They didn't need an environment. They could actually live among us.
Right.
That's which is unsettling.
Yes. Developing new biological weapons and obviously just experimenting on human abductees without their consent. Whether it be, like I said, there are weird stuff where they do stuff not even just for fun. Like I said, the Greys they feed off. Some of these things are feeding off our emotions or something. So they do have do sexual stuff to them just because they think it's fun. To them it's fun too. So,
Yeah, and like they
weird
apparently
stuff
like
there's very odd stories on some of that stuff. Like,
it was like gangbangs happened, and like some aliens would just keep coming back for the certain person just because they like.
That's weird. So it's almost. I mean, they're supposedly highly evolved, but they're asking.
It sounds like we're prostitutes.
Animalistic.
Sounds like the Bunny Ranch.
Right, exactly. You think there's a grade that involved one of the women's like, go make me a chicken pot pie. Go make me a human pot pie.
And
Damn it.
He's like, oh,
come on, woman. A human pot pie. Just
I want you to take her, put her in a pie,
and make it, feed her to me.
You want me to chop her up? No,
right.
Just make her into a pie.
So, mind control, telepathic research, allegations of developing technology for telepathic communications control, which I probably think that's
and stuff like that too.
Experimenting with human and mind consciousness, creating programmable individuals. Programmable, yeah. So I guess be able to program somebody telepathically if they don't realize something else impeding on their.
Yeah. Or that could be the soul thing too.
Maybe. I mean,
you make them do whatever you want.
Maybe that's why we're all not believing in this stuff, because they get into our heads like that's bullshit. Don't believe that. That's man. You never know.
Maybe.
Depends. I mean, they've been here for a while.
Yeah, but then why do some of us believe in it?
I don't know. Maybe some of them are fighting against it.
I mean, I've had a lot of concussions.
This is all truth.
I've had a lot of concussions.
So more advanced technology. And
that would be the maglev train that goes
anti-gravity, the melting of the rock, the boring, energy weapons, interdimensional travel. That's interesting. Advanced surveillance and communication systems. Like you said, a lot of stuff that we've suddenly last 100 years are just shot out of a gun.
Yeah, I don't think people really know how quickly our technology advanced in the last 100 years.
And they do say it's from the the
especially
creation of
the last 30
computer chip or whatever. Yeah, right, exactly. That we've really jetted forward, but they're saying it's from the alien stuff and alien
which I
technology.
I could 100%. I could see that.
Right. So alien biology research. So we're studying biology, physiology, and psychology of various alien races. We are, with them. Cryogenic storage, maintaining humans and aliens in suspended animation for future use. That's what that'd be. That very bottom 7th level. They're storing all these things, not just for food, but there's a lot for food. In other words, just like, hey, let's store this body. Let's not waste it for later.
Well, I mean, we could always just re-up it in 2 months and see what it goes.
And again, we go to the soul transfer manipulation.
I don't like that.
The more esoteric claims involve manipulation and storage of consciousness or soul. So they're given. So you might say soul. You might say our energy, life energy. They somehow supposedly are able to capture it and keep it for later. So you're basically getting stored just like cryogenics, just without the body. Basically, I would imagine. So that was weird.
Or I'm thinking like altered carbon.
Yeah,
the body's just like just a sleeve.
It's right. Exactly. Maybe
and they just know how to actually. Well, I mean, Elon Musk is on that verge right there of uploading a consciousness.
Right.
Maybe they just know how to upload everything.
Right.
Not just the consciousness. Now, also on this, one of the pilots that I think we're going to get to later, but he also talked about how humans, they train for 9 months.
Yeah.
Human pilots, and they flew because we have spacecraft.
Yeah.
And they flew one that was perfectly intact, and they actually flew it multiple times.
Okay. Yeah.
To figure it out.
You figure by now they'd be able to fly something, right?
Hopefully.
Well, it's a big waste,
but
actually.
I mean, we can barely figure out human language. You think we can figure out an alien language?
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Like, all right, look at the manual. All right. Hit that button, and this button. Right. And men we don't do good. We're not good with directions either.
We don't like to do directions.
No.
So let's kind of jump into a few individuals here that are kind of key to this whole story of how it got out and stuff. And let's start off with a couple of guys outside of. We do have people that have supposedly been to the base, and we'll start the ones outside who kind of. Or the ones that are kind of guessing or kind of actually put exactly where this base would be at,
So there's a couple of different stories.
And one of them is kind of and these two are
this one I believe a little bit more.
Yeah, these ones are good, but these are people actually we know stories of, or they actually have these people. You can look them up.
One's a police officer.
Yeah, so
one
of them
for a while.
Right, Gabe Valdez, the New Mexico State police officer. So in the 70s, he got involved in. So he's up in the northern part of
New Mexico.
He was an officer in the late 70s and 80s. He got involved in, he was called in sometimes for the weirder, I guess because there's not too many out there, but he got involved in looking into cattle mutilation.
Yeah, and I remember there was one story that he was telling. This is what really got him involved.
Right.
Was that there was a cow. He got called out. Cow was dead for 3 days already.
If you guys know about cattle mutilation, just finding, everyone should know about cattle mutilation.
So,
if you're watching the show and you don't know, shame
then,
on you.
so he walked up. You can clearly see that organs were taken out surgically.
Right. All the classic cattle mutilation, no
things.
blood anywhere,
So he ends up, he goes, I can't really handle this. I need to call someone that can come out and handle this.
Right.
So he called another guy. That guy took another 3 days. They came out, and what they noticed is the predators didn't touch it, and the scavengers didn't go eat it.
Right.
The cow looked exactly the same, and the only thing that was missing was someone surgically cut off the ear of the cow.
Like they went back. So the ear was there when he saw it. When he came back, there were more missing pieces. Though he's like, oh, it's like somebody came back.
Yeah, and then what they all of a sudden realized was everyone that came around that cow started getting sick.
Yeah.
So the scientists he brought out, they did a what is it? God damn it.
The testing for the radiation?
Yeah, tested for the radiation and a Geiger counter.
Yeah.
And the radiation was 2 times the limit of safe.
Safe, right.
So everyone was getting radiation poisoning from it.
Right. It sounds like a Geiger counter right now. Okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
And one of those times, too, he went out there. So when he started connecting this mutilation to governmental help is one time he went out there and he found gas mask and human remains stuff. It was a gas mask and gloves.
And also when he went out there, to that same one I was talking about, he said that you can see where a ship landed or a ship took off. There was burn marks, scorch marks.
Yeah.
It was, I think, 600 yards from the cow. You could see little tripod feet following the cow for up to 600 feet.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's when he was like, I don't know.
Right.
Something had to go vertically out of here.
Right. So he found all these traces that
he found a bunch. I think he found over 30.
Yes.
In his little area.
One of them, again, he found gas masks, like humans that were messing with it, basically would left stuff behind, which is kind of weird. But that's when he started saying, like, okay, I think this is part of a governmental
Not if they knew it was radioactive.
Right. And along with all these cattle mutilations, he was called out for a lot of UFO sightings that people would call him in. So basically, he started being known as the guy to call.
Which is the area hotspot.
And they would call him, and this is, I guess, northern New Mexico, up in the Kirkland Air Force Base, Roswell, Dulce area, up in that area up there. And he was always trying to catch. There's a story of him trying to catch, the UFOs that would disappear, and it's over in that area where he started kind of triangulating that it would be in the Archuleta Mesa base.
Yeah, he kind of figured it out.
It was kind of after a long time of seeing strange lights, unusual animal behavior. He said strange behavior of animals, avoidance of certain areas that he noticed that they didn't want to go into, which is not just the dead cattle mutilations, but just animals that normally just would avoid the area, which is weird because usually, you use certain land up there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think wasn't he part of the lady and her son got abducted? I think there was.
Wasn't
he sitting in on that?
He was trying to sit. Yeah, so there was a lady that supposedly I did get abducted.
So what they saw was they were driving around. It was her and her son. They saw a UFO fucking with cows. That's the only way I can describe it. The UFO was fucking with cows. One of the cows got picked up, and it was going in the UFO. They stepped out of their car, and the next thing they remember, and the car was running.
Yep.
They stepped out. And the next thing I remember, they're back in the car's off, and hours have gone past.
Yeah.
So she ended up calling the authorities. I think it was Valdez that answered.
Well, they sent him, if anything, yeah.
Yeah, and then they sent him, and I forgot who the other guy was, but he's, was it?
One of the abductee guys that would.
It was a bigger name that they ended up being real good friends.
Right.
They ended up hypnotizing this lady to try to find out what was going on with her. Yeah. And it turned out she was in what looked like a military base. Yeah. The doors, the rooms, everything she described. And they...
She did see aliens and humans working together, right?
The Greys... No, well, this is what happened. Like, she did see aliens. She saw humans. She was I guess she was with the Greys. Yeah. And she remembers hearing in her mind, they go, well, we fucked up when we were supposed to get her, but listen, we might as well just finish what we're doing. Yeah. And they sexually assaulted her. Yeah. And then they dropped her ass back off, and when she was telling the base, one of the guys there goes, that sounds like Dulce base. Yeah. He goes, that's the exact rendering of Dulce base, how she's describing one of the floors.
Right. So Yeah, and it says here the encounter. So he had that story, and then after a while, they kept trying to do it, and she got turned off by it. I think she didn't like the recalls, but
Yeah,
her story
well, it
finally,
scared
like,
the shit out of her.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
finally just cut those guys off, and she stopped contacting them, and
Yeah,
so
she
her
went
story
separate ways.
stopped suddenly because I get it. She got scared. She didn't like what she
Well,
was
you're
seeing.
getting raped by people. Yeah, I'd get
Whether
scared too.
whether she thought it was true or not, these thoughts were, she didn't like it, so she stopped. So, but with all these happenings that he was going into, his conclusions were that alien beings were likely responsible for cat mutilations. There was a secret underground facility, Dulce base, existed beneath the Archuleta Mesa, and it's connected to the UFO activity and mutilations. It's all in that same area, and that would be a perfect area that would be at. And the U.S. government was aware, and they're possibly helping with, and that was his conclusions for everything that he experienced, basically.
Yeah.
From the stories, from the cat mutilation, from findings out there, from everything that came up. That's what he would come up, his conclusion, like I said, just it come into. So, and he was more credible because he would go on a lot of UFO meetings and stuff and talk about stuff and everything. And he was a person that people can actually talk to. And
Yeah,
listen
and
to
he was
and
also
stuff.
a cop for many years.
Also a cop,
I mean,
people was like, cops go like, yeah, they could, and again, this is just at least someone you can look up and someone that people actually
credentials. You can see their
credentials, more,
Yeah.
person that he had regular. Supposedly,
He wasn't some nut job in his mom's basement.
Right,
running,
exactly.
he was actually
nut
out there as a
job at the
normal
police
human.
officer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next person we're going to talk about, someone we've talked about before, Paul Benowitz.
Yeah, he comes back up again. Like I
Remember
told
Paul
you guys.
Benowitz, guys? I think back on our Roswell. Is it Roswell that we talked about, Paul Benowitz? Anyway,
Yeah, I think so.
Paul Benowitz is let's go over. He is a Albuquerque-based physicist and owner of a company called Thunder Scientific Corporation. Thunder Scientific Corporation has contracts with the military, with the U.S. Air Force,
Yeah.
and that's how he got connected on there. So his connection is he lives near the Kirkland Air Force Base, which is up in the area, and the Sandy National Laboratories, which are known for advanced technology. Okay, his being by the area, he was also into listening to.
Yeah, he liked to listen to the radio. He liked to
Yes,
listen to
one
all
of those
incoming
guys-
traffics from the Air Force
From
base.
the Air Force, from Kirkland Air Force Base, the military
which
base, right?
ended up getting his ass in a lot of trouble and
'Cause he
got
started-
fucked with big time.
Filming. So he also knew about. I think he's an ex Air Force base guy too, right? Remember?
Yeah, he did. He did work for
He was a
ex-military.
pilot, or if he wasn't a pilot,
No, I
he
don't
was
think
in
he
the
I think he was radio man.
radio man. But he knew aircraft and stuff. And
He knew how to
radio
go
man,
into the
obviously.
frequency. Yeah,
So
but
he knew
would
frequency.
always
He knew what they looked like. So when he was out there at Kirkland, he would look and he just watching just to watch airplanes land, and he would pick up these weird radio
waves.
waves or just conversations that didn't sound human, that sounded weird, something that he'd never heard of. He's a radio man. He would look at some of the lights in the sky and like, that's not a plane, and he would film it. So he filmed the stuff, he recorded it, he took it to the Kirkland Air Force Base, and his story is they saw it and they decided to fuck with him as a
Well, okay, what they didn't like is that he was on their radio.
looking at stuff they
transmission.
weren't supposed to. Exactly.
There's military transmissions,
Yes.
and civilians are not supposed to be on it. He was a civilian. He was on there, unwanted.
channels that he's not supposed to be on,
And he got
filming stuff he wasn't supposed to
and
be filming.
he got some guy that decided to fuck with him.
Yeah, well, it was
And fuck with him real good.
Right, it was
So,
they wanted to make him look crazy, so any information I put out. So, but that was his basic story. But
because I'm sure he heard some stuff he wasn't supposed to be hearing.
let's talk about his connection with the Dulce. So if we know, that's what we remember what he was about. So through his alleged electronic intercepts and interactions, he actually came in contact with Gabe Valdez and the UFOs because he started
They became friends.
diving into the whole UFO groups and everything and talking. The guys all intermingle and they talk to each other.
He was actually he worked for one of the UFO groups that's actually well respected.
MUFON.
No, it was a more scientific one.
Okay, it was there's a bunch of them. Eight, I forget which one it was, but so let's see. UFO researcher William Moore is also involved in that. So they're the ones that started coming in together with Benowitz's info and pictures he had with Gabe Valdez. They're the ones him and William Moore and them started figuring out the triangulation of where this base was
Where the
at,
base
basically.
could be, yeah.
Yes, they started figuring out. So everything that would come up, Gabe Valdez became good enough friends with Benowitz that he was into all these. I think Benowitz is the one that gave him the a hypnotic researcher for that one lady you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think there's a connection.
Yeah,
there with
it was
these guys.
just Valdez was sitting in on it
Yes.
because it was technically his case. She came to him.
Right. So he was the one that had supposedly photographic and video evidence from of UFOs that the airbase took when he showed it to him.
Dulce?
Not Dulce, Kirkland. Is
Okay,
when he presented this, and then they called the Benowitz affairs when they fed him misinformation, just to make him look nuts, and they purposely
fucked
said
him up good, too.
They not just him, they did it. They sent these other people in who are UFO people in to
And that even
feed
They
misinformation.
got him
to
from all different sides.
Right.
Let's just say
Sad
that,
enough,
yeah.
his story ended up where he ended up going crazy because they fed him so much weird stuff that made him go nuts, and he didn't trust anybody.
Dude, reality's easy to break, man.
Yeah, and I don't know this guy's mental state, but apparently he was tenuous enough that it mess with him. But I guess if you start messing with your reality of what you think everything is, and everything's different, enough, and you believe it hard enough, you could fucking lose it.
Yeah, we all have our own little realities.
Right.
His got turned upside down, and it got real dark, real bad.
Right. So, despite his mental state and allegation of disinformation, he did play a crucial role in the Dulce-based narrative. His connections with Dulce Air through Valdez provided a significant foundation for the conspiracy theory. So these guys were around and had some dealings with the Dulce base, but they're not really in the Dulce base.
They weren't allowed in it. They knew it existed.
They don't even know where it would have been.
No,
they know
but they've dealt with
articulate.
people that say they have been in the Dulce base.
So let's go into some of these people who are actually supposed to be there, basically, right?
Yeah, like
We're going to call these guys the whistleblowers.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the first whistleblower. And one of the biggest guys I think that really kind of broke the story open is a gentleman named Thomas Castillo, also known as Valerian. So I'm going to say right out the bat, I think Thomas Castillo, if you try to look him up, I don't think that's his real name.
So yeah, we think it's an anagram.
It's or not an anagram, just a made-up name basically for Tom. Supposedly he had worked in this base. He claimed to be a security officer from 79 to 88. I think the 88 might be even loosely kind of. He worked as security there. He's probably as security officer. He claimed to have the first-hand knowledge of the base layout, which we got a lot of this information from the base layout of the various alien races and disturbing experiments there. So he at one point had snuck out some documents and photos and video. This might have been what they were trying to say.
Maybe.
But no one's ever seen these documents. So back in 85, supposedly, I guess that's why it's 88. Again, these years are all getting kind of mixed up. So it's supposedly in 85, this document stuff.
How do you just walk around normally knowing you fucking work with aliens?
I don't know. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You know these motherfuckers. You're like, I don't like those. Like,
What
I'd be
was-
talking so much shit, like them little gray bastards.
What was weird too, when they went into the security of this place, supposedly they weighed you, when you came into this place.
Yeah.
And if you were off by 3 pounds,
You had
they
a
would get
problem.
searched. Yeah.
So if you gain weight, you better go get
and
reweighed.
you were stripped down before you were weighed.
Everybody
so in
was,
and
yeah.
out. Yeah, kind of stripped down to your underwear, whatever.
So you
and
can't
weighed.
take anything in, anything out.
So and we'll talk about how he got the stuff out. But so he got these documents out and everything. Yeah. But no one's ever seen these documents. But they supposedly were kicked off the whole Dulce base where people actually realized, there's a base there. And then, they have actually
Okay.
documentation about the floors.
But we have
and
no
the
documentation.
photos and stuff. But no one's ever seen the stuff. So whatever happened to them are gone. Exactly. So his ones were the multi-level facility. I think he's one of the ones that had the 7 floors. He's talked about the alien coexistence and the hierarchy. He knew about the genetic experiments he talked about. He's the one that was went into. They told him that these people that they had there, the abductees.
Oh yeah, they were volunteers.
Volunteers.
Yeah.
They were unstable people. They were people who needed mental help and not to talk to them. He saw this alien technology stuff. Like, yeah, exactly. How could you go through all this and just kind of walk around normal?
You're gonna be normal, even if it was just that, where it's volunteers that are fucked up
Maybe.
mentally. Like,
Maybe.
have you ever seen people that work in a psych ward?
Yeah.
You know, how, like it takes a toll.
Maybe it's just a gentle. I don't know how they vet these people and how they get these people that know to go down there, but maybe after a while it just kind of.
Have you seen an alien before?
Right. So his security measures in the base were like checkpoints, identification systems. I know he was also I think at one point I saw like a mediator at one point between.
How the fuck is he talking to him?
Maybe he's the one that goes to talk to.
Are they doing hangman?
Like the hybrids people, like, hey, we got an issue here, and the hybrids will go. And so, it was all it's
yo,
all
you better
military,
get your
red
boy in
tape
check.
stuff. So somebody has an issue, they maybe talk to him because he's the main guy at the floor, the area, and he would go talk to the hybrid, whatever. So it was all, there was no direct connection to alien
I can
stuff.
already see it. He's like, hey, go get your boy Thomas in check. He keeps raping people. Tell him no.
He keeps
He
raping
has
me in my
people for that.
sleep.
Yeah.
Darn it, I'm trying to
I found
sleep.
him in my room again for the 3rd time. Before I shoot that little fucker, you tell him no.
Stop it. It's open.
And
He keeps telling me making a human pot pie. Leave me alone.
He whispers it in my ear at night.
Where's my human pot pie? So that was kind of Thomas Castillo. And we're coming up to something bigger. We're going to end this episode on a bang. But before we start off to another thing with Thomas Castillo, let's jump into Phil Schneider, another really interesting
so Phil
guy.
Schneider had was he a geologist and what did they bring? A structural engineer?
Well, he
That
was
was his background?
he was a self-proclaimed geologist, basically. But he was
Okay, but a
supposedly-
structural engineer.
structural engineer.
So
yes,
back in the 70s when was 60s when they were building this base, right?
late 60s, early 70s.
Okay, so
whatever,
back
yeah.
then they had the equipment, they were drilling down
Yeah.
and they were going floor by floor by floor.
Yep.
And then towards the end, the equipment, which was state of the art back then, would start drilling and then just completely die.
Right.
And it got to the point where they didn't know what was going on. So they sent Schneider and a couple Green Berets, I think,
Yeah.
down there to see what was going on. I don't know why you need military personnel all of a sudden, like just to go see what a drill is stopping.
Right. Yeah.
But
exactly.
whatever. So they go down there. They have a lift. They get off. Was it a tall gray?
It was Tall Grace.
A tall gray walked out.
So-
So Schneider said he freaked out. There's two different versions of this. They said that one walked out or that two walked out. Schneider freaked out.
Well, before the meeting, so drilling down, again, they keep these races separate, and supposedly Tall Grays are really hostile towards humans. It had nothing to do
So
with
it's just the short ones that like to rape us?
I guess we get more connection with the short ones, so they know about us.
More connection.
Yeah, basically, I know. But the tall ones, anyways, there usually be, even when they're in the work lab, there's always somebody or something there to mediate between them. So they don't want any kind of interdimensional or
War popping
war accidentally happening, and that's basically what happened here.
Okay.
So these guys were accidentally drilled into the wrong area.
They also said that
They
they
drilled into
didn't
the-
know they were drilling. Like they just were drilling down. But they also said that when they got out of the lift, it smelled like rotting garbage.
Like solid silver. So I think what happened, these tall grays doing their own drilling and stuff, and it
Or
wasn't documented.
I think that was just their base.
Yeah, it wasn't
And
documented
we
how
went
far,
right
and so
into
we
it.
didn't know. So basically, there wasn't enough communication. So we got into the area.
Well, okay, this is where it's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking
but
is
it's true.
yeah. So what I'm thinking is because skirmishes and stuff happen after this. So I'm thinking that we were digging down. We had no idea that the aliens were down there.
Right.
We stumble upon their base.
Yeah.
Schneider gets scared. He shoots one of the aliens, kills him. The alien fired a plasma rifle, apparently at him, hit him,
Yeah.
took part of his left hand off.
Yes.
It gave him cancer.
2 fingers he was left with.
A bunch of stuff happened to him, but he
Yeah.
ended up he blacked out. The Green Beret drug him to the
Lift or whatever, and
put
took
him on
him
the
out.
lift, and
Yeah.
he just remembers being up and not knowing. He just remembers seeing military personnel,
Yeah.
black berets, green berets. I think Navy SEALs were in there.
Right.
He said NATO, which
Yeah.
NATO doesn't operate on U.S. soil.
A lot of these things are again.
This is where it gets into
It's
kind of
right.
But yeah, he said that all of a sudden we went to war with the Tall Grays.
Right.
We had a nice big skirmish with them.
Right. So before that, though, I wanted to get into his when he first came out and he started talking about that. He came on in the early 94, 93, around there.
I think it was 94.
Is when he first broke open. He went up and started talking live to MUFON, which is a UFO group, and this is the story that he came out with. And he told, and afterwards he did do many kind of other outings, but this is the first official one. And there was a recording of that, and I've heard some of the recording. I haven't seen it, but I've heard.
I heard
that.
a little bit of it. I
Yeah.
never saw it either.
And this is the supposed story that he came up with, and in going back a little bit of his background again, is also being a structural engineer and
A self-proclaimed geologist.
geologist. Supposedly, his father, he had claimed his father was part of
his father was
Oscar,
a Nazi.
you know.
A Nazi U-boat captain or something, and that we
So
caught him.
Whatever he's saying, and the believability of him, he's kind of taking it on, because I don't know if he was just trying to hype himself up as something more important than that, but he made his father being something more.
And then they found out his father was just born in San Francisco and a normal guy, and they found all the birth certificates and everything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to that point, how many times has the government gone out of their way to make people look like they're crazy?
Misinformation. Right.
So, and also, when we pulled Nazis from World War II, we didn't exactly do paperwork on these people.
No.
We just gave them new identities. You're from here.
There you go.
And
Your name's John
this is what
Smith.
it is.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know why they would do a U-boat captain.
I don't know. Yeah, suppose
I
it was
don't see
U-boat
why
captain.
maybe it was a
exactly.
nuclear U-boat
Right.
captain for the Germans or something like.
Right.
I don't know. I have no idea,
Exactly.
but that was his story. It got debunked.
Right.
So a lot of people think a
He's
lot
full
of
of crap.
things from him
Right.
are full of shit. Like he was mentally ill.
Right. So part of the going back to the war about this is, of him losing, fingers on it from a plasma gun. He supposedly killed one of these things.
His college roommate said he lost it in like an accident when he was a
Yeah,
kid.
that supposedly he lost an accident a long time ago was from that. So everything that he had said, it was kind of somebody
Debunked
else
or
come back
something
dumbed
weird.
Again, with the Paul Benowitz thing, was it misinformation or was he really nuts? I don't know.
I think they fucked with him.
If the government does misinformation stuff, they're doing again a bang up job because everybody that comes
Well,
out.
I would
looks
like to
a
know,
nutso.
was the Paul Benowitz thing with the Dulce after the Kirkland Air Force Base?
For
When
no,
they
I
started,
think it was,
remember when they started fucking with him?
I think it was during because it happened, but this happened to fucking with him. It was a long, prolonged.
I know,
year
but
stuff.
if they were fucking with him at that time,
right,
your wallet. If they were fucking with him at that time, then the Dulce base would be made up.
right, maybe
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
maybe.
they would be
Right.
like, okay, now we got him on the hook. Let's
Right.
fuck with him over here too, and
But
let's
then
leave
you're
him here.
forgetting Officer Gail Valdez. It was the one part of
But
that.
he
so.
never saw a Dulce base.
Yeah.
he just
No, they
had that
didn't.
victim that
Right.
he saw UFOs and he had the victim.
I think just get Valdez being involved in the story to begin with, probably not. But I'm sure they fed him some other stuff, or maybe they just said, I don't know. Yeah, I see what
Probably-
you're saying, but
you
I
know
don't
what
know.
I mean?
Yeah,
I don't
So,
know if
yeah.
the government was in on this
Right.
one where they were fucking with him, and that's just
Well,
part of
we'll-
how they were fucking with him.
Yeah, we'll go with this other stuff. Let's finish up with the work because supposedly, so this base, whatever happened, he got out of the lift. The Green Beret talking about the war,
Yeah.
the battle, and supposedly 66 guys lost their lives before everything was kind of calmed
A
down.
bunch of
squashed.
aliens died.
Yeah.
66. So apparently we can hold our own.
66 humans. We don't know how many aliens died.
No, they said multiple aliens died. A lot of them.
Right, but I think the 66 was humans
Yeah,
casualties.
66
right?
was
We don't
humans,
know the
but
aliens.
they said there was
yeah.
a lot of a lot of alien casualties too.
So
So we
that
held
was-
our own.
Claim to fame him. Now he was weird because after this, he went on the circuit a few places. He was scared for his life because I'm not supposed to be talking about this stuff.
Because a
I'm
bunch of his
scared.
friends ended up they said that they ended up dying.
A bunch of people
The people that
connected with
knew
him
about
and
this,
knew
and
about
they
this
were ruled suicide.
suicide stuff. And he had even told his family at one point, say, look, if I end up ever, you guys find me having a suicide, I didn't commit suicide.
Yeah. And
They
he would-
did this to me.
Even on the circuit, when after he would do a lecture, he said,
And I
"Look,
think,
if I end up dead,
It was like
a
months
suicide."
after, like 6 to 10 months after that the first initial
found his
coming
ass
out,
dead.
found his ass dead
in a hotel room.
It was a very weird. I mean, if we're getting the reports right, it's a very weird way that he killed himself.
The cop that was investigating it ended up he brought up the points. He goes, "Look, I don't know how he had a catheter tube that he tied around his neck 3 times and then tied off."
Yeah,
And he goes, this is physically impossible with how handicapped his hand was.
yeah. He only had 2 fingers on one hand. 'cause the
He
other-
was on the floor. His feet were shoved under the bed, just they were stuck. Mm-hmm. There was blood in certain places away. And
Yeah.
you're talking about a guy that was he had brittle bone syndrome. Like his body was just failing him because of the cancer.
Yeah.
So he was in a wheelchair. A lot of this he just couldn't have done to himself. And the guy was like, I think he went to his superior. He goes, I don't think this was a suicide. And the superior goes, "You're done looking into it." And he assigned him to a
Just
different
shut him
case. And then also the family asked to get an autopsy, and they went, "We didn't even give an autopsy because it was a suicide."
It's apparent suicide. We're not going to bother with it.
The doctor that was supposed to go in there didn't even want to go in there.
Yeah.
And I think he ended up taking a urine sample and I think blood.
Right.
But he didn't even want to deal with this situation.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then when the wife went to go pick up his things, which was all the Dulce documents and the evidence that he had, nothing.
Everything was gone.
Everything was gone.
They
said
already
it was just
ransacked. It was already
all of a
everything
sudden
taken.
gone
Yeah, all
out
this
of
information
lockup
taken.
and-
Right. So let's go into back to Thomas Castillo because he has a version of a battle that happened. Which at first I got confused because
Yeah, I think we
those are
figured this
different
out.
stories of the same battle. I go, that's why it's bullshit. And I go, wait a minute, we think they're 2 separate battles.
Yeah, so we think
So going back to
the
Thomas
Schneider
Castillo,
one
yeah,
was the start of this.
the Schneider one happened in 79, 80s when he kind of talked
Yeah,
about.
so the Schneider one happened. We had this skirmish.
Yeah.
66 people died.
Yeah.
I think the government decided that we can either go to war with the aliens, which we're probably going to
we're not
lose,
gonna do it, right.
or we make a pact.
Yeah, they
make
go
a
back
treaty.
through and security gets tightened up again. They just go back to security.
So they made a
protocols and
treaty,
measures. Exactly.
and then the base got completed, and I think that's when the aliens moved in too. I think that treaty was when
I think
the
they already
aliens
moved
all
in.
went.
I think they just
No,
they
I think-
finished building what they needed to build. I mean, it was continued building. They
They were
already
building it, but I don't think it was
Yeah.
it was inhabitable yet. I think they were still building.
Yeah,
See, this
regardless,
is where
yeah.
there's like a lot of
the timeline is weird. So we talked about Thomas Castillo and we talked about the 85 the documents get. So around the mid to late 80s, Thomas Castillo, remember, he was working in security. He had access to certain levels other people didn't because he had to go and do things. Whatever.
Yeah.
So he would go down to the Nightmare Hall every once in a while, and he started talking to
George. I think it
George.
was
Well, George started. He's not trying to talk to him, but they try to talk to him. you know?
George would say things to him.
Right, and supposedly these people are supposed to be so out of their mind they can't. You're not supposed to listen to them, and they just
Yeah, they're
gibberish.
supposed to be mentally
But
ill.
Supposedly George was making little sense.
Yeah, well, every time he
missing.
walked by, he would look at him. He goes, "Look, I was abducted.
Yes,
I'm missing."
I'm missing. Go check me out. And
And
I guess
I think, who did he ask? Was it?
I forget,
Valdez?
but I think it was. No, I don't know if it was Valdez, but I think it messed with him enough where he went and actually checked George's story, and George was actually missing.
I think he called like a guy he knew in the government or like FBI or something, and the
So-
guy goes, "Yeah, the guy's missing."
Right. So he started feeling for these people, saying like, "Hey, this is not the true story. These people are abductees." So he started talking to other security forces and scientists, and they had that same feeling with him, saying like, "This is not right. What we're doing to us, other humans, is not right. These guys
Yeah.
are abductees. We're taking these people against their will." They even supposedly had other aliens who were kind of sympathetic to his thing. So it came to a
wanna know
point
which ones.
at one point where when the aliens came to do some, experiments on some of these humans, these guys finally stood up and said, "No, enough is enough. Is enough. You're not doing this." So it obviously
Fight broke out.
It got violent, and a fight broke out, and there's a big battle that happened, and it was firefight. Where in this one we don't know how many people died, but there was a firefight between the aliens and the humans and the people. Kind of the little revolt that was happening, and during this revolt, this is when he grabbed up his documents he was carrying, and he must have had
Oh,
and
and
he
all the
filmed-
chaos.
and he grabbed some abductees, and they got out through some of the tunnel systems that he knew about. So when all this commotion was going on, and that's how he got out, and that's how these
Okay.
documents got out. And he was, because he had really mapped this out beforehand, if this ever happened, or was going to do it. So this is when he enacted that plan that he got out. So when he got out, he had all these documents, and he went into hiding, and that's what we think.
What happened to the abductees?
I don't know. There's the thing, and that's just it. No one's ever come forward. But then again, if you were an abductee from an alien thing, I wouldn't come forward
You were
to you
getting
either.
fucking raped.
I'm
and
gonna
stuff
because
and-
these
and chopped
guys
up.
are way ahead of our time. I'm not coming out nowhere, nothing. I am out of here.
They're making you sneeze to,
And
to
so,
eat their boogers.
but these documents were never seen or never heard of. We know the name Thomas Castillo, whoever had gotten the story, or he came. I forgot how he came out and gave these documents to. We don't think that's his real name because there's no Thomas Castillo that was in that
was
area.
in there. Well,
and it is a basic name.
Dulce base doesn't exist.
Right. And Thomas Castillo, and especially in New Mexico area, it's Castillo is a basic, kind of like Smith, in English. It's a
Yeah.
basic last name, and Thomas, it's so you could just use a really basic, like, oh, I'm John Smith, just, and in New Mexico, I'm Thomas Castillo, here's my stuff and everything out there. So
True.
And that was
Tomas.
his telling of it. So his war was, there was a
Tomas
revolt
Castillo.
of people for doing the human, experimentations, and where he actually got some abductees. I'm not sure.
And
how
I
many
think
people.
there was one other fight because I remember when I was reading up on it. There was a fight where I don't know why it started off, but they said it was a really one-sided fight. It ended up being Navy SEALs were trying to get one of the alien races to not go up. Like the alien race was trying to take over the base.
Right.
And they ended up blowing up the stairwell and then getting out of there. And then when they came back up, again, there was Green Berets, Black Berets. There was
Yeah.
a bunch of men that they sent right back down
Right.
to handle whatever that situation was.
Right.
So I'm thinking that there's been a bunch of, like, we don't get along as good as we think we do.
Right.
And we've had a bunch of fights break out
Right.
in this base.
But the people, the hierarchy in there, the higher ups are enough to squash it down. Like, stop it,
Yeah, it's
stop
probably
doing
like, I can see like one of the Draconians like, oh, fuck, they're doing it again.
that. Right, exactly. They're fucking around.
Yeah,
Exactly.
all right, who did it?
So that was the alien war that broke out. So
Allegedly broke out, man.
So
I
again,
don't-
Castillo claimed to escape Dulce base. This is 88. I think it was around 88, 85, whatever it is, with the help of other humans. He had these brought with him documents, photographs, video footage of evidence, and material never been publicly verified. He went into hiding. His whereabouts are unknown, along with these other people. Obviously that makes sense. I mean, if
and
I
now
was somebody got out,
both these people, you have one guy that technically doesn't exist. You have the other guy that
died under suspicious circumstances.
and who seemed like he was kind of mentally ill.
Right.
They think he had a break when he got the cancer, and the mental break from the cancer just kind of this is what came out of it.
It's mainly the
and he
story
got his
of
story off of who?
I'm sorry, who?
Schneider got his story off of somebody else. They were saying because like there's a whole thing where like it came from a book.
Well, the whole story came out first. One I read was Thomas Castillo's documents are the ones that came out first, and that's when everything kind of sprang from there. But these documents
and
have been verified.
They think Schneider picked up a story from that.
So yeah, we'll jumping into the skeptical part. Let's look at this. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys, probably most all of you, are skeptical of this, but let's logically look at why this is skeptical or why it's not believable. The Schneider thing again. He said he had cancer. He probably had a mental breakdown, and his whole story about if I'm found suicide, it's not me, and maybe he set that up just to make himself more important, even in afterlife.
Yeah, and also
make it more suspicious.
They said that he read a story from the Castillo documents.
Yes,
and that he possibly could have picked up bits and pieces of it, and then made his own part.
Story, right, just to make himself sound important. You know, he had this whole like, hey, I was part of a battle. I got to kill a couple aliens. Or one was like one alien, the other was two, and I'm like with a handgun, and they got me, and I got so it just sounds like a made for TV or a movie kind of thing. And at the end, and it's sad that if that happens, that he had that mental breakdown. You get told
didn't end well.
You have a certain amount of time left. It's
everyone handles it differently.
Yeah, everyone handles it differently. And again, his story about his family was debunked supposedly, but we don't know if it's misinformation or not. Thomas Castillo, again, they've never been proven to be an actual person there.
Never seen anything.
Nobody's ever seen his documents or photos.
The abductees were never caught.
But supposedly that was the spark of everything that came out. Right, the abductees. What looking innocent. If I was an abductee from that thing, I would never show my face ever again anywhere.
Whoever he called in the government to verify that one guy, that George guy, was missing.
Yeah.
Why hasn't that guy come forward?
It's probably the same thing. He's like, fuck that. I go down there. I'll be one of the fucking. If they find out who it was, I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who he had contacted to see that, but it'd be
I think it was someone in the FBI or something.
Maybe
that it was like a buddy of his.
I'm not fucking saying anything because I'll be one of those guys down there. They're going to be the Greys will be having fun with, or tall like whatever.
Yeah,
I don't want those mantas sticking his arms, in my orifices.
I wonder what they do.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just eat you.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, they just eat you. So then we talk about, the Valdez one's interesting, but I mean,
I think he's more credible.
Could he be like Benowitz and they're just feeding him face up? But no, but he actually did see cat mutilations. He actually did chase after.
He did get sick from radiation.
He was chasing after UFOs, UAPs at one time. Now he was trying to find out what they were. Could they have been like with the Benowitz people saying they were just secret high tech military stuff?
Very well could have been.
Could, because it was in the area.
The one thing that I don't get is the interview with the girl where they hypnotized her. Right. Do you think her mind just broke and that's just something she made up?
Maybe.
Even though she was hypnotized?
Maybe. I don't know. A lot
maybe
of
she watched one too many movies.
The abductees are very interesting that when they hypnotize them, what they say, I don't know where it's coming from.
And she also did just kind of distance herself from them too.
Right. Yes, afterwards she just didn't like it. Exactly. So, our skeptical reasons for this whole conspiracy theory, other than it sounds cuckoo bananas, which I just like the word cuckoo bananas.
That is a good movie.
Lack of physical evidence, we're talking about. There's no physical evidence of even the stuff that Phil Schneider had. It all disappeared when he died,
Well, even Area 51, we have, it exists.
Right.
There's a base.
No
there's
opening
footage.
in Archuleta Mesa, from what I understand. There's no. We know there's a Kirkland Air Force Base. We know there's this Dulce town. We know that there's a Jacqueria Apache reservations in that area. That's it. We know there's an Archuleta Mesa, but we don't. There's no entrance. There's no. From what I understand, there's no cars going. That are going into whatever. There's no physical, like you're saying. We know Area 51's there. The absence of credible witnesses. There's nobody there.
And also, I think it'd be really hard to build near, especially an Apache reservation. Well, they fucking hate the government.
Well, exactly. But I'm sure if the government would, if they wanted to do something, they'd do like, look, we'll do this for you, this for you, this for you. We'll give you this much money. Just don't say anything. That doesn't seem too bad. I mean, it would cost them more, but supposedly.
But for the lore not to get out of the Apache.
Remember all the Black Ops money that some of these people are finding that were going towards Black Ops operations. This
yeah.
This stuff is just in the trillions that they're using that are money.
I wish I could do my taxes like that.
And yet they can't pay teachers,
shit.
much more than again. Let's not get into that. The conflation of ideas. The Dulce-based theory often incorporates elements from other UFO and conspiracy theories. It does seem like a bunch of stories put together.
Yeah, it could
that
be.
just got to make and it would make a nice little, I guess, cool story to tell your buddies. Maybe
I was kind of wondering if there's a book that these guys read.
Maybe
a fictional book.
And
that
there are a lot of
these
books
guys read.
out there and a lot of articles about the Dulce base, which I didn't really want to touch. First of all, we don't have time to read all these book stuff. But these authors, I don't know where they get information from. Not like our information is true or anything, but we just try to get stuff that directly connected. Sometimes when you have a book, you're trying to sell it, so you might embellish some stuff.
Well, I'm kind of wondering, was there a book at the time that
they got
had
this information
aliens
from?
and
sure
bases,
there was.
and there was
Yeah.
fights all the time,
I'm sure
and
there
it was underground?
It does sound like a fantastical.
And these guys kind of just pick and choose.
Well,
and
think about
made
the
a
Thomas
name up.
Castile. He was he was a hero. They stood up to the aliens, to their captors, and because he was a security guy, and then the big fight, he got information, he got the people out, so he was the hero, just like Phil Schneider.
Even though they were outgunned majorly.
These guys are both the heroes of the story, so it could
Schneider started a war.
Yeah,
he wasn't a hero. He got scared.
He just got scared.
And he fucking started a war.
Yeah, but he was such important that he was scared for his life, and the people are after him. That's how he said at the very end that people are after him, and it sounds like schizophrenia. They're looking for me. They're after me.
Sound like schizo.
Right. He's totally schizophrenic. They're after me. I'm scared. He gets to his say. He goes, I'm scared to go home. I think one of the recordings I heard goes, I got to drive home tonight because I am terrified for my life to drive home.
He goes, I have to drive to Vegas to pick my car up and drive home.
Pick my car up home. And I'm scared for my life.
I don't think I'm going to make it.
Right. He was constantly saying at these meetings.
That does sound just like a schizo.
It's schizophrenic. So it could feed on that. I mean, could they be messing with him to make him schizo,
Yeah, but I mean, if they're messing with him, then he did stumble on it. Yeah. But how much of it was actually true?
Right.
He might have just... You don't know what the government fucks with. You might have just found out the name of a base you're not supposed to be, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna fuck with this dude."
Right. Especially with unusual lights. So this is for like Valdez and the misinterpretation.
Misinterpretation.
Thank you. Of national phenomena or existing facilities. So unusual lights, seismic activity.
But that's
governmental stuff that forgave Valdez.
They got the alien highway.
Right. But
out
that
there in New Mexico.
It doesn't explain the cattle mutilation, which some people said, oh, these were just normal, predators. I'm like, no. He's like, no, these lines are, because I even got brought in experts with,
it's just like Skinwalker Ranch. You can definitely tell the difference when an organ has been removed or has been torn out.
Right. By animals.
It's surgically been removed. Right. It's very clean cut. There's no.
These guys bring in even experts like animal attack experts. And like, no, this is not an animal.
They'll bring in
way
vets,
too precise.
Attack experts, fish and wildlife who know exactly what they do.
And why are these cattle mutilations not being touched by the predators? Predators are usually all over that. Even like insects and stuff, the stuff that normally goes and eats it, they just stay away from. That thing looks
everything would
stays the hell away from. Like
it's either very diseased or
highly radiated. Exactly. And why would it be highly radiated if it's an animal attack? So it's just, this Dulce-based thing is, and obviously the lack of government confirmation, like you said, the government finally came out. It's like, we have stuff out there. Just it's secret. Don't look for it.
Which
after a while, people are like, yeah, okay.
I completely agree.
Don't worry about it. We own this land or we own something. Just we're doing stuff there. Don't worry about it. Don't look at it.
I know in that area is the largest nuclear reserve that we have. All our missiles.
There we go.
So
why
that's
wouldn't
an underground base?
Exactly. Yeah. So it paints a nice story out there, and it's the middle of nowhere. It's in an area where there's a lot of
about this until this man brought it up over here.
It's an area with a lot of UFOs at UAP. I know UAP UFOs. A lot of sightings out there. A lot of cattle mutilation. It's near Roswell. It's near Kirkland Air Force Base. It's all these things are connected. They all kind of
weird area.
Yeah, they overlap each other. So why wouldn't it be? There's something there. It's a nice, cool story. These claims are very scary, I would think, and if any of the stuff were even remotely true, it would be very scary. Like you said, the guy earlier, if you see a UFO in that area, you run. Because that thing is not friendly. You could be taken. You're not getting taken on a ride with EAT down up to seed space. You're getting taken down. The Gray's going to have some fun with you.
You're not getting anally probed. You're getting really.
And sadly, getting anally probed is the least of your fucking worries. And these things are going to hybrid you. They're going to eat all the weird experiments and all the scary stuff. Like
They might
Nightmare
clone
in Hell,
you a bunch of times.
who knows? And they want to get the most out of you. So I guess you'd probably praying at that point, like, can't you just anally probe me and send me on
drop
my
me
way,
back off.
please? Yes.
I
So
even brought the lube. Come on.
so exactly. So again, whether you believe this or not, and we're gonna go. Let's go with our thoughts. I think this story is too fantastical.
It sounds very fictional.
If there were a base, these stories that come out with it are making it unbelievable. Basically, could there be a military base out there? Sure, it could be a secret base out there that's just doing high top secret stuff. Could there be alien things out there? Possibly, but more of these guys come out and make themselves look like heroes, the more unbelievable it is. I mean, I'm not here to say that it's base out there is true or not. I think Valdez was the most credible guy there. Benowitz, unfortunately, they destroyed his reputation by feeding him false stuff, made they go crazy. So I think Valdez assertion about something being out there is probably true. Base could be out there.
I mean, he just didn't deal with like that crazy of a story. It was I saw lights, I chased a UFO.
Right.
I had people say they were abducted.
Right.
It was basic stuff.
I remember there was one story he said he took out some actually basketball players, and I don't know if it was NBA guys, just showing them in the area out there. And at one point, these two guys kind of pulled up in military uniforms with no insignia, saying like,
was it Castillo? No.
It was Castillo. No.
It
was Valdez.
No. The other one, Schneider. Schneider said he got enough. When he said he was being watched.
Yeah.
He shot and killed an FBI agent.
Yeah. And Schneider's story goes up.
There's a bunch of things going on.
So Valdez was talking about a story. He took guys out there just to show them the land out there, and these two guys approached them that were in military outfits that had no insignia and said, "You guys need to be out of here. You're not supposed to be part of." And I think Valdez, he had a connection with the Apache reservation. He's like, "No, I'm supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. What the hell are you guys doing here? Because I'm the officer here." And I think he had connections with Apache.
So he must have been. He was allowed to be on the res.
Yeah, he goes. I'm supposed to. You guys are not supposed to. So
he might have been Apache.
Yeah, where it was a confrontation. I forget what happened to it, but so it was weird stories from him like that. And I'm sorry, guys. We got so much information. I forget who said who or what to hear, but I remember hearing that story going out. He was, I believe, more or less have stuff. So should a base be out there? Sure. I don't know if it's an alien war happening there. I don't know if it's alien lab or anything. I don't know.
I could believe there's a 7-story base.
I could believe that, and I maybe possibly believe that, I don't know, the alien and contracts with them, it's out there, but would it shock me if it finally came out? I'd probably God, that sucks. But okay.
But do we have okay, my thing with that is we had to hold our own in a big battle for them to even give us a second glance to make a treaty.
Right.
Because when you do a treaty, it's not one side that can dominate the other. It's both sides are kind of stalemated.
Yeah.
And it's, do we want to go through this? As long as we're going to go through this, and then let's just do a treaty.
And
so
maybe treaty is the wrong word. Maybe it's just like a contract.
No, it said treaty.
Okay.
It said
I was saying, but I'm thinking maybe it's more like a contract. Like, look, could we go to war with each other? And the aliens are like, yeah, we could probably wipe you out. And the humans are like, yeah, but we're going to take a big, chunk out of you. You're going to remember us. Instead of doing that, why don't we just come to an accept? Because you have something we want, we have something you want. Let's just come to an agreement here, basically.
Come on.
I don't know.
We're going to give you technology, but we're going to rape and clone and eat your people.
They've done worse, man. The government has agreed to worse. Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean.
Look, I think definitely we have underground bases. I think most of
them
are I think most of them are nuclear installations and the fallout stuff.
I believe in the underground bases and
I don't think that we have a maglev train that does too.
No, that would be awesome. That'd be cool.
Elon Musk is doing something soon.
Yeah.
What is it? New York to London underground in 60 minutes or 90 minutes or something like that.
It is interesting that, again, we talked about earlier, the last 100 years we've accelerated so fast, but I think it's from the invention of the computer chip. And once we started getting computers, everything just went bam, kind of.
Now, I will say this, the Schneider, when he was talking about the way they were drilling, back then it was very advanced. Now it's common practice.
Right.
Of how we drill.
Yeah.
So, but
kind of brings us back to the Denver airport thing about how they could drill so quick. I'm like, well, they got this technology. Remember, they were connected to some of the base that was supposedly miles away. I mean, that would explain.
The base that's, I think, what was it, 30 or 100 miles away, something like that.
And that would I'm like, oh, okay, well, they can make this thing within a week. Then, yeah, why wouldn't be able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, look, you have the Bob Lazar story, which everything that he said.
Another episode.
I know, but everything that he said has been credible. Like they've shown, like when he talked about like the
Balthazar was supposedly a guy who worked at Area 51.
yeah,
so.
at one of the substations there. So like they had the thing where you put the handprint.
Yep.
That's actually stealth bomber technology and stuff like that.
Well,
like,
he's the one also brought up the God particle way before, like 20 years before they even kind of, or like 10 years before they even realized that they could find that. Yeah,
but
so anyway,
I mean, like a lot, like he was a very credible source. A lot of the things he said
it's come like
has come to fruition and is now technology nowadays. His story has never changed.
Yes.
There's evidence of his story.
Yes. So when you have guys with consistent stuff like that, yeah, exactly.
A lot of people back this man.
So
then you got these guys like Castillo and
Schneider.
I think Valdez is the most credible out of them.
Yeah.
Nothing that he said was out of like craziness or there was a war. It was just, hey, I've seen some shit out here that I can't explain.
I think the beginning of Benowitz is, although I think Benowitz could have been tapping into some kind of military operation, whether it be backed by alien stuff or not. But
I think he was listening in on some shit that he should have been listening.
I mean, we kind of half believe, half don't. We kind of believe that could there be ABS out there? Sure.
Yeah.
Could there be aliens in there? Maybe.
I don't think there's 10 species of aliens.
I don't know about the labs, and I don't know. If anything, I'm just saying I'm hoping not. Because that is scary shit.
My thing is, okay, like if you have 10 species of aliens. How did you get them all to agree to sign a treaty over this little blue planet? Like, why are we so important? You know what I mean?
That is good, exactly.
So you get everybody, which I'm sure they're warring out like crazy. Because why wouldn't they?
Right.
And then now we're just going to all play friends on this little blue planet, and they're going to even give us the time of day.
Who's a good negotiator? Who's a good talker?
Betty White.
Betty White. Oh, I was going to say Captain America.
No, Betty White. Betty White. Fuck Captain America. You send in Betty White. You cannot say no to that woman.
Okay.
You can't. You look. You can't. If she walked up to you and goes, "I'm going to kick you in the nuts," you go, "Yeah, you can do it."
Right. Exactly. Oh,
right, you're so cute. You can do it.
So you're saying Betty White's still out there? She's not gone yet.
I think she's an alien now. She's with Elvis and Tupac.
She was reptilian all along. All right, guys. Again, everything connects here. God, anything else to bring up, man? There's a lot on this one here.
That was,
I hope you all enjoyed it. You want to talk about aliens and stuff, and you got your aliens, buddy. But the Dulce base, man, that is it's something else. Guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, comment, and we appreciate those that comment all the time. Go out there. Again, we'll come out with another episode here soon. I guess we're all done, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go deflate my brain here. Man, there's a lot going on with this one. This things are getting.
It just kept going.
It just kept going, right? And there's a lot of stuff we didn't even put in there. But anyways, I mean, we got the basic.
You got the idea.
It's just too much. All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye. Boo.